Hello friends, welcome. Welcome to this special session, a session where we are going to look at 5 steps to improve your scores in English, or rather to maximize your scores in English. The last time, 3-4 days back, when I delivered a lecture on how to attempt the English section with help of practice mock prelim mock analysis. Now there we received a lot of queries that had some common threads in them. So what I thought is that to conduct a short yet very effective session where I would guide you how to attempt your upcoming paper of SBI JEE prelim, and not only this paper but any paper that you would be taking this year, right? So and therefore this session today I am not going to teach you anything, rather I am going to advise you on how to take your paper so that you can score your best, right? This is very important. See, today we are just 2 to 3 days in which the SBI clerk prelim exam should start. At this point we cannot learn something new, but we can ensure that what we know, we score the best out of it, and that's what our target should be, and that's what we are going to discuss, how to do that in easy 5 to-do steps. If you follow them, then you would ensure that you get your best score, and if you have prepared well, then that best score of yours would be more than 25 in a similar paper than what came in SBI clerk last year or previous year, or before that, right? So that is what our target would be. See, this is an ultra competitive exam, and why not? So many candidates trying for so few seats, so we should be at our best. That's our target, and anything that we can do extra, and that extra, if can be done without any much of an effort, then we should do it so that we can maximize our score. So before we see the 5 steps, let us first see the issues that you shared with us, which led us to design this special session for you. First issue was inability to complete the paper. Sir, I do not get time to complete the paper, or if you look at the third issue, time management, there are 4 or 5 questions for which only 1 or 2 minutes are left, and I am not able to do them justice. And later on I realized that those were easy questions which I could have done very easily, but I did not I could not attempt them, or could not give them justice, right? So that is 1 or 2 issues that has been commonly coming. The second issue that came was, so time is okay, we are able to complete the English paper, but we are having low accuracy issues. The number of questions that we get wrong is are so many that we get a lot of negatives and end up with a score that is not competitive. So that is another issue that came, obviously from different people. A person who could not complete has his own set of issues, and a person who could complete the paper but had low accuracy had his own set of issues. The next problem that came, and which is a recurring problem that I see in many students in English, is that, sir, we do not feel good about attempting the paper. I mean, after attempting the paper, we are not confident that whether we had done the questions correctly or not. The confidence that we get after solving a quant set, that same confidence that does not come in English, right? Okay. That is another issue that came. Obviously all of these leads to inconsistent scores. You end up with a score, sometimes you get a good score in English, sometimes you get not so good score in English. So that's something that happens. I mean, and obviously the reasons are the top ones. If those are the reasons, obviously your scores would not be consistent. Now another very unique thing that came after the last lecture, in which we discussed the mock analysis session, there some people say that how much should we guess in English language paper, right? So, in today's session, we are not only going to address all these issues, but I am also going to tell you that how much is a good guess, how many numbers of questions you can guess in English, right? What is a guess and how much you can guess, we would discuss that too. So, let's start with the first step. Step by step, I would address all the issues, and after the session, if you feel that there is need to address something which I might have left, you can put it in the comment section, okay, right? Chalo, the first step is to make a skeleton of the paper. What is our target? Our target, understand, is very simply be our best, perform our best and maximize our score. So, the first step that you need to do for that is to make a skeleton of the paper. Now, what do I mean by skeleton of the paper and how do we do that? See, first run through all the question in the paper very fast. When I say run through, and I'm not saying go through all the questions, I'm saying run through all the questions. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean identify the types of questions. Identify the types of questions. Let's say question number 1 to 5 is fill in the blanks question. So, if you run through the question, you will know that these are fill in the blanks question. Then you say, see that question number 6 to 13, these 8 questions are RC questions. So, when you run through the passage, run through the question, just look at it, visually confirm it that these are RC questions. You are not reading the question, you are not reading the passage, you are not doing anything, you are just running through the paper, right. So, identify the types of questions. Write the question numbers in groups along with their type. Now, how do we do that? I'll show you. I have shown this to you in the mock analysis paper that I took 3 days back. If you have gone through it, you know how to do it. If not, just go through it and you would know that how to do it. But still, I will show it here also. So, let's say question number 1 to 5, fill in the blanks. You just write it here. Then question number 6 to 13, RC. Right, just jot it down, scribble it through, don't do anything else, just scribble it through. Then let's say 14 to 17, you say it's a parajumble question. So, if it's a parajumble with option question, then write with option question. You cannot write, you would remember that whether it's with option, without option. Then let's say 18 to 22, they are grammar questions. So, write grammar question or error spotting question. You saw that these are error spotting questions, specifically of grammar, error spotting nature. So, write them down. So, in this way, note down the 30 questions in groups. Now, after doing all this, going through the paper, running through the paper very fast and identifying the types of questions in groups, that shouldn't take you more than 1 minute 30 seconds, not more than 1.5 minutes, right. It can happen with practice in lesser time, but if you haven't been practicing in this way, it would be difficult for you to do it in lesser time, right. So, for example, we say to all our students that you should be practicing this in every mock, in every test you take. So, for that, if you had been doing that, you would be able to do it within 1 minute. If not, at the max 1 minute 30 seconds, not more than that. Okay. Now, what is the step 2 then? I'll just keep the written part, just remember the written part, I'll come to it. Now, what is the step 2? The step 2 now is deciding on order of attempt. Now, again you would remember that I did this in our mock analysis session also. We first went through the skeleton of the paper, we made a skeleton of the paper rather. And after making the skeleton of the paper, we decided what would be our order of attempt, right. Why are we doing this? I'll come to that after I have given you the step 2 in detail, and then I'll come to that why we are doing this. Okay. So, step 2, deciding on an order of on the order of attempt. That means which group of questions you are going to do first, which group of questions you are going to do second, and so on, third, fourth. Priority setting, right. So, first, what is the parameter on which you are going to decide that this is going to be my priority number 1 questions group, this would be my priority number 2 questions group? What is the parameter on which you would be setting? The parameter is only 2, your speed and your accuracy. So, over the past few weeks, you must have been taking mocks. When you were taking mocks, you got to know about your strengths and your weaknesses. Now, strengths and weaknesses are misnomer. Why? Because I don't want to give you an idea that there are absolute strengths and there are absolute weakness. No. If the question nature changes to a question that is more manageable, the type of question which you might not have been able to do in the classroom, you might be able to do in the exam, because the nature of the question has changed to being more doable. But everything said and done, it's in a generic way, understand that any type of question that you take less time and you solve with high accuracy, they are to be done first, and any question which takes more time, that means you are low speed in it and you have low accuracy in it, those have to be done at the end, and everyone would come in between, obviously according to your speed and accuracy data on that, right? Okay. So, it is an objective criteria that you need to think of. So, go back to your mocks and decide that, okay, if 5B I take 2 minutes for 5 questions and I get 4 out of 5 correct. So, this can be my priority 1, right? Vocab, I take 5 questions, direct vocab question I take hardly 1 minute to do and I get 3 correct. Okay. This might be my priority 1 or 2 type of question. So, on the basis of that you need to decide, and then you obviously would strategize in the paper. Write your attempt order beside the question numbers that you just wrote in the that I asked you to write in the last slide. For example, here let us say, what did I say, 1 to 5 is fill in the blanks, fill in the blanks question, fill in the blanks question. So, just write priority 1, okay, priority 1. Then let us say 6 to 13 is RC question, put it priority 3, let us say. Then you had 14 to 18, let us say parajumble question, put it priority 4, and let us say 19 to 22 was something like error spotting questions, so put it priority 2 according to your speed and accuracy data. Okay. So, this is how you would do it. How to do it in detail I have discussed in the mock analysis session. So, go back and refer to that if you need to, if you want to have a better understanding of how to do it, right. The only thing that I would advise in here is that, friendly advice, you do not need to follow it, but if you follow, it is from my experience that of taking paper, of directing, guiding students on this, that taking RC at the start sometimes does not give you your maximum potential, or does not give you the best of the scores in the paper, and there is a reason for it. Let us say, for example, in SBI clerk, the first section is English, let us say, and the first section in English, and the first thing you do is RC, and RC takes a little more time than the other, because you will have to read it, you will have to go through the question. No doubt RC needs to be done, without doubt. Do not think that I am asking you not to do RC, right. But then if you pick it as the first 5-7 questions to be done, then the time that you take would be a little on the higher side, and then you might panic, right. And if you panic, and then your whole paper would go awry. On the other hand, if you do 10 questions in 4-5 minutes before, even if you have attempted RC, they will give you a major high at that point of time, and your RC time might also come down due to that. Also, at the start we are very jittery readers, we tend to read things twice, thrice, because we are not set in the pattern of reading. So, your pattern of reading would be set by other questions, and when you go to the RC questions, you would be all set to do the reading and answer the questions. Got it? Right. So, that is the friendly advice that I had for you, that avoid starting with the RC, do it in priority 2 or priority 3, but not in priority 1. And finally, doing all this means identifying which priority you would take to do the questions, that is priority 1, 2, 3. This activity should not be taking 30 seconds, more than 30 seconds. As a matter of fact, step 1 and step 2 together should take you 2 minutes. you would be doing this simultaneously only, as a matter of fact, the step 1 and step 2. Together they shouldn't be taking you more than 2 minutes. 2 minutes is that what you would be taking. With practice, you would see that you are able to do it within 1 minute 15 seconds, but 2 minutes is also fair enough. Okay, right. Now let's move on to step number 3. Let's see step number 3, what we are to do, what we ought to do. You are to attempt questions with time factor in mind. Now, what do you mean by time factor in mind? Simple. You see, when I say you need to keep time in your mind, that doesn't mean that you should be fretting about time always. That, Arey Baba, kitna ho gaya? How much time did I take? How much time for this question? No, no, no. On every question, you need to fret about time. But you should be aware about the time lapses if you are creating any. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are on a question and it's a 5B question, a fill in the blanks question. Normally you take 30 to 40 seconds to do a fill in the blanks question. Now you are realizing that you are taking more time in that particular question. I mean, you realize when you overshoot the time that you normally take for a type of question, you realize that, but we choose to ignore that, right? So you are realizing that you are taking more time than what you normally take, but you are just not leaving it. You are taking 50 seconds, you are taking 1 minute, you are taking 1 minute 10 seconds, but still not leaving it because you are close to answering. You think that you are close to answering, right? And you would read it twice, thrice, 4 times, rereading it again and again. Now, rereading after a point, I mean, once or twice reading is okay, but reading something 4 times, 5 times in English is not going to create a lot of a difference. You would be in the same place as you were when you started and had read it 1 or 2 times. So what it does essentially is that it wastes your time, your precious time. That 20 minutes is that what you have for this whole section, and you waste that time, and you end up marking anything as your answer because you have invested that time in that particular question. Yes or no? That's what happened, na? That 1 minute I have invested in this question. How can I not mark this question and move ahead? So you need to be ready to leave question if you are stuck. Just because you have wasted your time in that question does not mean you'll have to mark something. The first thing is that you should not be wasting your time. That means that if you are seeing that within the stipulated time, that is your time of solving, average time of solving that question, you are not able to solve that question, you leave that question. Still you have not left it and overshot it by another 15-20 seconds. Obviously at that point of time I am sure that you are common sense oriented enough to leave that question at that point of time. But then a separate problem comes to your mind that I have given so much time, so why not to attempt anything and move forward? Don't do that. Don't mark anything just because you have invested some time in it, right? Okay. Understand, step 1 and 2 is good planning, but good planning is waste if step 3 does not happen, and step 3 is good implementation. You would be able to maximize your scores on the back of step 1 and step 2 if you do step 3. If there is lack of implementation, lack of conviction from your side to implement, then you are not able to do it. Okay? Right? Okay. So that's something that you need to keep in your mind. Okay. Now step 4. Remember these while attempting questions. The 4-5 points I'll give, remember these while attempting a question. Now this is step number 4, is to remember at the back of your mind. Okay. First, don't doubt yourself. Now this I see a lot in English, that we doubt ourselves. If we get an answer very fast, we tend to think that how can I get the answer so fast? मुझे कैसे मिल सकता है ये आंसर इतने जल्दी? This is not done, right? I must have done some mistake. Let me recheck it. Let me revise it. you know, in your school life, revision might have been a good idea, but in a competitive exam, revision is one of the worst ideas that you can have. Idea is very simple. If you can be done with your paper within 10 minutes, you can revise your paper, but that's not the case, right? If you honestly give time to your paper with common sense, with your logic, with your concepts, it takes more time than that. For a 20-minute paper, you will take at least 15 to 17 minutes. So you don't have so much time to revise the paper. Obviously, you can go back to some of the questions to check whether they had been right or wrong by rethinking them. But every question, no, that's not possible. So first, stop doubting yourself, because if you are using your concepts about the topic and are thinking logically, then be confident on the result that you have got, that the answer that you have got. Because what you would be confident on? Your concepts plus logic, the result that you have got from that, or what? I mean, I don't, in the examination scenario, I have nothing but to believe in myself. If my belief in myself wavers, I am done for in the exam. Don't do that, right? So if you are thinking logically and you are making the concepts that you have learned your allies, you cannot be wrong. Okay. The third important thing is to not go in a prejudiced way for a specific type of question. Now this is very important. Let me give an idea. A lot of students said parajumble, we are afraid of parajumble, sentence rearrangement questions, sentence correction questions. Everyone talks about different things that gives them jitters. Now, if I become prejudiced about it and I go in the paper thinking that parajumble to boss मुझसे होता नहीं है, then even if there is an easy question in the paper, I tend to do it incorrectly. And thereby, I am not able to maximize my score. And that's our target, na? Maximizing our score. That is the target. And we fail in that, right? So don't go prejudiced. See, yes, you are making an order of attempt of the question, but please understand, my dear friend, order of attempt does not mean that the last order mein jo question hai, I will not attempt it. No, I am going to attempt all the questions. It is just that I will attempt the question that I can do fast and correctly first, and the ones that I am normally not so sure about, I will do them at the end. Why is it so? Simple. See, when you do questions that you are more confident about at the first, one, you do more number of questions because your speed is high in the first 10 or 12 minutes, and therefore your confidence goes up, and maybe in questions that you are not so confident about, there also your confidence aids your logic to come out with the right answer. That is one thing that happens. Secondly, what happens, what it ensures is that you never miss on those questions from where you can score. If you take those questions which you are not confident at first, then there is a chance that you would miss those questions which you are good at because you wasted time in those questions which were not confident, right? Okay, so these are the two reasons why we have prioritized our paper. That does not mean that we are not going to do the priority 4 or 5 questions, we are not going to do those priority 4 or 5 questions. No, does not mean that. That means that we are going to do them at the end, right? Okay, so don't go prejudiced about specific types of questions. Now the final step, step number 5, plan your guesses. Now the first question that comes in our mind is, what is a guess? A guess, what do I mean by a guess? Now, anything that you have come across through your concept and logic is not a guess. You might not be confident about your answer in that particular question because English is such a topic. you cannot be confident as confident in quant. It happens with me also, right? So I can bank on my concepts, I can bank on my logic. These are the two things on which I can bank on. Even after that, I am not getting that confidence that this might be right, this might not be right, but that is our best option that I can come with. That is not a guess answer. That is not a guess answer. Guess answer is that where I go by my feeling. Out of these 4 options, I think second one is the answer, because from my reading, see, even in English, guesses are not bad. But the problem is that guess answers have to have a limitation, because if most of your answers are guess answers, then you might have that negative that you are complaining about, that 10 are negative and 20 are right. So how many guesses should we give? So guess answers, first of all, what is guess answer? Guess answer is that the answers that we give from our feeling, that okay, this is the question, so this is the answer that we I think might be from my experience of reading. But how many should be there? If you have answered 20, not 5 to 10%, more than 5 to 10%, ideal number of guesses 5 to 10%, 6, 7, 8%. मान के चलो, if there are 20 questions that you have answered confidently, I mean confidently means on the basis of logic and concept, then one at the max 2 questions. And if you think that day is good for you and you are more confident, the maximum guess that you can go for is 10 to 15% of the answered questions. So let's say 20 questions you have answered, at the max 3. So if you don't mark 10 questions on guesses, then you would not get them wrong. 3 questions you can take that risk, but 10 questions no. Okay? So that's the maximum number of guesses that you can take. And I hope that you would attempt 25 questions with confidence, and the rest 5 you can guess, right? But if you are attempting less, then this is the formula that you have to keep in your mind. Not more than that. So you would be safeguarding your interest also, and you will be ensuring also that you do not miss the opportunity of getting scores from your feeling. Okay, right? So if you are a risk taker, at the max 3 to 4. If you are in that section, if you are a risk averse person, at the max 1 to 2. Okay, okay. So these are the 5 steps that you need to ensure, so that you maximize your score in the upcoming SBI clerk exams. And once you do that, I mean, if you follow these steps, you would ensure that whatever you could have done best, you have done best. After that, obviously, your scores are function of your abilities, your concepts. Obviously, they are a function, but whatever you could have done at that day, on that day best, you have done it. Okay, okay. So that would be all for today. Hope you have been helped by this lecture. I've taken up issues from your comments only, and then address them. If anything has been left out, please put it in the comment section, and enjoy your paper. All the best for your paper. I am sure that you would be doing extraordinarily well and maximize your score in not only English section but all the sections. Thank you very much, and all the best.